Okay, my friends, let us test our positional understanding. I'll quickly go through the moves of this game and we'll reach a position and we'll pause the video and we will try and evaluate the position and come up with a cunning plan. I'll quickly just go through the moves. Takes, knight is forced back, b5, takes on d5, takes, double zeros, and a5. And this is the position that I'd like us to think about for some time. I'll give you three scenarios, my chess friends. Plan A is the occupation of the weak squares c5 and e5. Plan B is the creation of a passed pawn here on c5. And Plan C is doubling rooks on the C file. So let us think about Plan A. You believe that White's strength lies in this bad bishop here on c8. Control of the C file and occupation of the weak squares on c5 and on e5. The problem is that this knight is guarding these weak squares. You therefore plan the maneuver knight to b3, knight to c5, planning to swap off this knight here. If black takes on c5, you will recapture with the queen. You don't mind an exchange of heavy pieces, because in the eventuality you will realise that you will have lasting control of e5, which you can put a knight, and you will have a good knight versus a bad bishop going into the endgame. And therefore simplification of the position is to your advantage. So this is Plan A. Plan B is very similar to Plan A, but you don't want to exchange your heavy pieces off on the C file, because you think that this will lead to too small an advantage for White. So you still plan the maneuver knight to b3, knight to c5. But after black takes on c5, you plan the creation of a passed pawn here by d takes on c. And you therefore calculate the plausible maneuver of knight to b3, a4, knight c5, knight takes c5, and d takes on c5. And you'd rather keep the heavy pieces on the chessboard, believing that their exchange will lead to too small an advantage. And you're not afraid of a move like bishop to b7, because you can simply push your pawn and the bishop will have to move from its home here on b7. So this is Plan B, the creation of a passed pawn and keeping the heavy pieces on the chessboard. Okay, just let me put these pieces back and we'll consider Plan C. Here we are. Plan C, you think that the dominating theme of the position is control of the C file. And you think that black is planning to wrestle control of the C file by playing bishop to a6 and rook to c8, You therefore think it's a matter of urgency to double rooks on the C file and penetrate along the 7th rank. You therefore plan queen to b3 and after bishop to a6, guarding of course the attacked b pawn, you plan rook to c7, which not only helps you quickly double rooks on the c file, but threatens of course knight to e5, attacking the pinned knight, which will of course be pinned to the queen. So this is Plan C. You think it's a matter of urgency to double rooks on the c file, because you feel that black is planning to wrestle control of the c-file with the manoeuvre bishop to a6 and rook e to c8. So please pause the video, my chess friends, and think about these plausible scenarios in your own mind. How did you get on, my friends? Well, hopefully you paused the video and had a go at trying to formulate the correct plan based on the strategic and tactical criteria in the position. The game itself is from a game played in 1922 in London, and with white pieces is Alexander Alekhine, and with the black pieces is Frederick Yates. Plan A, of course, was the occupation of the weak square c5 and e5, control of the open c-file, and simplifying into an endgame where a knight will verse a very poor bishop blocked in by its own pawns. White doesn't, of course, mind the exchange of the heavy pieces. The simplification of the position will simply accentuate the strength of his knight versus a poor bishop. And this, in fact, was the correct plan. It's imperative, of course, that white play an immediate knight to b3, knight to c5. If he doesn't, black will simply play a move like a4, and white is struggling for a plan. And this is in fact what transpired during the game, knight to b3. If we can just take that back and take a look at plan C, which was queen to b3 with the idea of doubling rooks on the c-file. Perhaps bringing this knight to e5 and taking advantage of the pin which would exist along the 7th rank. It's a very valid strategic idea. The problem with it is that it cannot be implemented tactically, because black in fact does not have to defend this pawn here on b5. He can simply play a move like a4, and if the queen takes, well, bishop is coming to a6 and he's subject to a very nasty pin. Even if he tries to play actively with a move like queen to d3, again bishop to a6 is coming, and if the rook tries to reach the 7th rank, he has to contend again with this move b4. So while strategically desirable, it's almost impossible to implement this idea of doubling rooks on the c-file, trying to take advantage of the pin with the knight coming to e5. So in the game, knight to b3 was played. e4, and the knight occupies the weak square c5. Knight takes on c5, queen takes on c5, queen takes on c5, and rook takes on c5, as was played in the game. Notice how plan B, the creation of a passed pawn, is simply positionally disastrous, because black can in fact play e5. Occupying the centre, he has a beautiful pawn centre. This bishop is now coming to life along these diagonals, and this knight has very poor scope in the centre of the chessboard now. The creation of a passed pawn was simply a positionally and strategically disastrous choice. And for this reason, Alekhine played rook takes on c5. Well, b4, rook f to c1, he's still keeping a grip on the open c-file, bishop to a6, and knight to e5. Black is trying to create some counterplay on the queen side. Alekhine opens up a channel for his king to come into the game. Black tries to create counterplay, but Alekhine simply locks the queen side. No dice for black there. We have h6, king to f2, and slowly and surely white simply improves his position, where black is really struggling for ideas. And as soon as these rooks manage to double on the 7th rank, the game is essentially over. Black tried rook to g8, and Alyekin conceived of a wonderful combination, taking advantage of the position of this king and rook by bringing his knight to d7 and to f6. King drops back and he plays knight to f6 anyhow, because this square is of course essentially not defended because of the mate threat in h7. Rook to g8 was played, rook takes, and after the beautiful king to e5, black in fact resigned. Because even if the rook runs away, well, he's facing mate like this. So wonderful and beautiful, strategic and tactically played game by Alexander Alyekin. If we can just go back to the position that we were asked to consider here. You can see that the correct plan, of course, was the occupation of the weak squares. Simplification of the position here with heavy pieces on c5 and a knight coming to e5 playing against this very poor bishop. So if you manage to get that, my chess friends, you have done very, very well indeed. But anyway, in the coming videos we'll take a look at some other examples, and we'll pause the video, we'll really think about the position, and it should really hone our positional understanding. Suffice to say, my chess friends, I thank you very much for taking the time to watch the video, and I sincerely wish you well with your own chess. Take care and goodbye.